But then there's also legitimate arguments on the other side. Like the other side is making a very legitimate argument about the right to due process if you get processed and shipped out of the country and put in a prison in El Salvador. You know, what is the quote? Was it Benjamin Franklin's quote about innocent and that it's better to allow 10 guilty people to go free than one innocent person arrested? You know, I'm on that side of things.
Yeah.
That's my, I mean, I think due process exists for a reason, and the reason is...
Told you. I told you. This is how it begins. There's only so much insanity that even the ape man and his supporters are going to take. This is how the process begins. The process of discontent begins amongst the ranks, amongst those in the margins who go, maybe this wasn't the best decision. I still like Trump. I think he can restore order here and right this wrong.
It is horrific for someone to be accused of something they didn't do, be imprisoned for crimes they didn't commit, and then live in a cell, live in a cage with a bunch of
people who did commit.
Here it is, Benjamin Franklin. It's better 100 guilty persons should escape than one innocent person should suffer. That is wisdom.
Yeah.
That has survived hundreds of years. It's incredibly accurate, and it is the foundation of freedom. Like, we have to make sure that these people are actually guilty, otherwise we become monsters. You can't, like, what is that? When you fight monsters, be careful that you don't become one.
Become one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very important. It's very important. You know, you can't do that. But also, you also have to deal with the fact that the current administration is dealing with the past administration allowing known
bargaining. He's in the bargaining phase. I'm telling you. What you're watching is the bargaining phase of the process. He's like, oh, well, you know, all the previous lies that Trump told me that caused me to vote for him, I have to maintain are real and true, right? Otherwise, I have to recognize my mistake. Yeah, he's going through it.
Gang members and terrorists to go right through the border unchecked. That a lot of them they know got through. They don't know the exact numbers, but they know there's millions and millions of people illegally just walk through unchecked, and a bunch of them have to have criminal records. A bunch of them have to be dangerous, and we've seen crimes that have been committed. It doesn't help anybody on the progressive side to deny the fact that that's a real problem. And if it happens to your family, God forbid, I don't want it to happen to anybody's, but if it does, you will feel a sting of regret if you supported that, unlike anything you've ever experienced in your life. You'll be like, I mean, it's, you know, it's one of those things where...
Vibe shift is already beginning. The apolitical Trump dick riders are now souring on at least some of the aspects. Why did it happen? How did we get here? What did I tell you? If there is enough counter messaging on the cruelty of these actions and the media starts covering it because Democrat leadership is making a big fuss about it, then people are going to be more aware of the actual impact, the actual consequences of these decisions. Americans are very malleable. This is why I was constantly screaming from the rooftops. They're like, Democrats, do something, say something. The is wrong with you? And here it is. And this isn't like, there will be ups and downs. They're not regretful of their vote yet. And they might never be regretful of their vote. But there are people in Joe's audience that will look at this and go, yeah, maybe this isn't the best idea. Because it's not. Because it's a genuinely dangerous precedent. It's genuinely terrifying. I'm glad that I'm at least vindicated for once in the right direction, where I said, if Democrats start making a big fuss about this and the media starts adequately covering the cruelty of this deportation regime, then people are going to start souring on the mass deportation protocols. And lo and behold, that's what happened. That's exactly what's going on right now. This is just the beginning. It's going to get worse. No one from this point on is going to turn around and be like, no, actually, it's fine. It's actually cool. Yeah, it's really up. There will be Republicans that say it's cruel, unusual punishment. It's Holocaust-style concentration camps, and I like it. But there are plenty of people in the margins that will not like this. And this isn't just about democracy or the democratic process or whether or not they'll ever vote for Trump again. I don't even know if there will be another election at this point. But the only way to stop that from happening is if there is an alternative out there, an alternative that speaks to the anger and resentment that a lot of people are experiencing, and an alternative that actually speaks to the dangers of this administration with great focus on the individuals that are being harmed in this process, to generate stories that people can identify with. That's why I keep maintaining the position that although 90% of those who were unjustly deported to the CCOT facility have done nothing wrong and were along their process of getting either temporary protected status that they had already, or going through the court asylum application process, and they were falsely deported to this torture slave labor camp. The one that everyone is talking about is Abrego Garcia. The reason why they're talking about this is because the administration up and admitted to wrongdoing. I will take that anywhere I can get. I've explained to you already that these things take time, but public sentiment shifting in this dramatic of a way will either push the contradictions to its ultimate demise, where there's going to be a moment where this breaks, okay? Either it will break and the admin, in an effort to retain a theoretical democratic process, will capitulate to the mob, or they will start a harder enforcement mechanism, a more fascist enforcement mechanism, which will cause people to fight back. That's why I'm talking about public perception here. Before you guys say, why does public perception matter? Of course it matters. Public perception always matters. It matters in the short term, as we seemingly still have a democratic process, and it will matter in the long term as well. Let's say the admin says, you, protesting is now illegal. People start getting locked up for protesting. That's the breaking point. That is the breaking point. At that point, it's just like you're gonna see people taking matters in their own hands. Okay? What a lot of people don't understand is voting is a pressure valve. Okay? Theoretical democracy is a pressure valve. It is a way for people to feel like they have a say in the process. If there is no pressure valve, if there is no release, this will implode. That's it. You cannot maintain authoritarian control over 330 million people that are gadded out the wazoo, okay? People say, oh, the military, they got drones or whatever. But ultimately, the military is people too. They're still part of the people. They got family members. They got their own personal opinions. That's how coups happen.
To support one side of this, you have to deny some like basic human values. Either way, like to support just rounding people up and just assuming they're all gang members. I'm not saying they're doing that, but this is the worst case scenario, right? Yeah. They get a bunch of people in a room, they rope them all in, and one guy's just someone's cousin picking someone up to give him a ride home. That's possible.
And now you're back on the one innocent person with now you're right back.
And what if that dude is not doing anything wrong and he's got some stupid tattoos and they decide that this guy's a gang member, and now you're in a prison in El Salvador and you're not even from El Salvador. And now, you were just a hairdresser or you were a tattoo artist,
family
or whatever
man.
you are.
Yeah.
You came over here and maybe you got a green card and maybe you don't. Maybe you were just given asylum, because a lot of people from Venezuela were given asylum in America.
Yeah.
And then you get shipped to El Salvador, where you're not even from El Salvador. So that the fact that that exists scares the shit out of me. But also the fact that they were just letting terrorists and gang members flow freely into the country is horrible. And when you talk about innocent people, what about the innocent people that got murdered by terrorists and well, not terrorists, that really hasn't happened, but gang members, and this Trender Wagwa that were taking over those apartment buildings in Aurora, Colorado, and like that's scary shit, man. Armed with machine guns, taking over apartment buildings. Like, what are we talking about here? Like, what are we talking about? You're letting that happen? You're not sending in the troops to stop this?
Yeah, and you think that wouldn't, in your head, you're like, that can't happen in America, in Colorado.
Bro, they got a guy that had done that in California, and they refused to deport him because they said that California is a sanctuary state. They're like fighting to keep a known gang member free in America. The whole thing is bananas. It's like almost like you don't want to go full tinfoil hat, Sam Tripoli style, and just decide that they're trying to destroy America. But if I was going to try to destroy America, that's how I would do it.
Yeah.
I'd take over the political process, impart censorship on all the social media, like gaslight people to no end, consistently do it. AstroTurf stadiums filled with people pretending they support something, pay them to be there, manufacture a movement, and slowly but surely bring chaos to all the cities. Allow DAs to get elected that are the worst when it comes to protecting people and the best when it comes to freeing violent criminals. And that's really their goal. And they can do it. They can just use words like racial justice, like just send murderers back out into the streets. You just create chaos. Defund the police. Defund.
Dude, what? It's so funny because the underlying sentiment that Joe Rogan is demonstrating here is a hallmark of the Republican Party, which is to lie about shit that isn't happening in an effort to get your ridiculous agenda across successfully. And it's not that he's close, because he's literally doing that right now in defense of the Republican Party. The idea that there is like this notion that like people are being sent home after doing like rapes and murders because they're undocumented migrants is so stupid that if I heard someone say this to me in the wild, I would probably immediately call their family members and be like, your immediate family member is experiencing a stroke. He's got the John Fetterman brain disease. He's got a bad brain. You need to come down here. You need to pick him up because he can't drive a vehicle. Okay? He is a danger to himself and others. He is very obviously experiencing a stroke. Like, it's so insane that this is the underlying basis for why the Republicans must be so aggressive with combating immigration. Because why? One, they're doing rapes and murders every day 100,000 times a year. Not true. It's just literally not true, okay? What a psychotic thing that they're claiming. The only evidence that's out there that is readily available for all to see is the exact opposite of this. It's the evidence that shows that this is incorrect. There's no evidence for the statement whatsoever, okay? And number two, the idea that like these guys are doing rapes and murders all the time, and then under the Biden leadership, our court system would look at a bloodthirsty rapist serial killer and go, oh my God, are you from El Salvador? Oops, can't deport you. You're free to go, sir. Please go out and rape and murder more Americans. Like, that's if this is genuinely what you believe, you are hallucinating. And previously, when someone said shit like this, they'd be on top of a soapbox outside of a goddamn subway station, and people would just be throwing coins their way to be like, all right, big guy, I hope you can, buy something fun with this. Now you get to be Joe Rogan and make $250 million a year entertaining these insane statements. And those insane statements are not even something that you came up with in a paranoid schizophrenic attack, but instead it's you regurgitating what the administration has said while they were campaigning successfully for office and has continued saying since they assumed the role of the presidency. What the is going on? No wonder so many people that we know that we exist with in our day-to-day existence are psychotic at this point. Like, what the yeah, like, ask anyone that you know. Ask anyone that you know that entertains these kinds of insanities. Are you telling me that the previous administration, under the Biden administration, you genuinely think when someone did a rape or murder and they were found to be an undocumented migrant, that they just released that person? Like, just think, close your eyes for a brief moment and try to imagine that world where where some judge, 75-year-old white dude is from, appointed during the Reagan administration, goes, oh my God, you're Guatemalan? Well, that means you get multiple free rapes, like a subway punch card. Come back when you filled 10 rapes. Like, that's what you think is going on. They're just letting They're just letting rapists, drug dealer, serial killers go free, roam free. And the cops are also a part of this, by the way. The brave, bold, beautiful piglets, the boys in the blue, they also are powerless in the face of these woke judges who are letting rapist murderers go free because they're undocumented. If you believe this, I can trick you into believing anything. I can trick you into eating dog shit, okay? You are the most easily tricked adult of all time. I could literally serve you dog shit, and you go, this is delicious. Ooh, scrumptious. Oh, my God.
Now you have no police. Like, if I wanted to destroy America, I would do it this way.
I mean, what you just described sounds like a like a plan from another place. That's like, oh,
if you wanted to destroy America.
if we really wanted to, not with war, but let's just slowly let them kill themselves type stuff.
And then have them at each other's back, at each other's throats, rather. Constantly have them fighting over political issues. Let's get rid of Roe v. Wade. They're a little too happy right now. Get rid of Roe v. Wade, and then the liberals are up in arms. How you... Which was getting rid of Roe v. Wade was actually a good move if you were a Democrat, because then people get upset and then they really want to vote. Like, you could probably ignite a lot of people. And that was like, there was some famous videos. There's one famous video of this lady celebrating that Kamala Harris was going to win. And she was like, reproductive freedom. Women came out to vote in unprecedented numbers. It was, I'm sure you've seen it. It's a video of this lady mocking this guy.
Yeah, white women to vote for Trump. White women voted on the same ballot measure where they were like, of course I want my pussy protected, but not that much. I don't want my pussy to be protected from Donald Trump. He can grab my pussy all day. Literally on the same ballot, white women were like, yes, I want my ovaries to be mine unless it's Donald Trump taking them. In which case, I will literally strike down any sort of abortion restrictions, but then turn around and vote for the guy who did it. Insane.
Working at a liquor store.
No,
did you ever see it?
I didn't see this.
It's so good. It's so good because it's like this lady, and the way she's talking, like, you can't be a good person and talk to someone this way, or even about someone this way, and be happy in the way you're happy.
Yeah.
Like, it's like people like to be to people and think that it's justifiable to be if that person disagrees with you. So you could be whereas the guy in this story is not being to her at all, but she's being super to this guy, and but she's talking about reproductive rights, because like that was like one of the big things that got people to come out and vote for the Democrats.
Yeah,
like if I was playing 4D chess and I was a Democrat, I was like, this is what we do:
get rid of ourselves,
get rid of ourselves, get rid of ourselves, and then campaign on that. Okay, now we got all the women
pissed off
because women don't want men telling them what to do. Bitch, you can't get pregnant. Shut the up. Shut the up. Just shut the
shut up
until you can get pregnant. Shut the up. You know.
Yeah.
It's like this. So this lady, you got it, Jamie? You can find this video. It's so funny. This poor lady, but it's about reproductive rights. Like she's saying that, and it was for a lot of people. But that was a big one. So like you would do that. You would do that. You would get rid of that. You would try to get rid of the Second Amendment. Second Amendment. We're gonna get rid of all guns. Oh, the gun guys, get up for the Republicans. And then you would say we need open borders because we need our society is population collapse, and they were starting to say things like that. And we need who's going to pick cotton? They're essentially marketing it because they're saying Americans don't want these jobs, so we have to bring people in to pick our crops. Who's going to clean your toilets? People are openly saying that. Like, not realizing how racist
I remember that lady. One white lady, she told me, she was like, who's going to clean your toilet if they get rid of all the Mexicans? It's like, what the
Who said that?
It was like on the View, one of those crazy
One of those View bitches?
One of them, or at least a show like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hilarious. So there was that going on. If you wanted to like destroy society and make it worse, what would you do? You bring people in from a third world country, don't have them change anything, financially incentivize them to be there, give them free money while you're not helping the poor people in America. They were giving them debit cards, free housing, free food, putting them up in the Roosevelt Hotel in New York City. Why, if you wanted to destroy society, that's how you would do it. That's how you would do it.
I mean, that sounds...
Or you could give them proper processing and proper paperwork even after they were unjustifiably kidnapped and human trafficked to these states with the deliberate effort of, with the express purpose of ruining the asylum process for them. Perhaps the best thing to do would have been to expedite their court hearings, give them an opportunity to look for gainful employment. That's what I think. But no, the real criminal in this circumstance is not the Venezuelan on TPS, by the way, because a large majority of those guys were on TPS to begin with. Okay. The real criminal in this process is, number one, Governor Greg Abbott, Joe Rogan's favorite governor, his own governor. Number two, Ron DeSantis, Joe Rogan's second favorite governor, Governor Ron DeSantis, who participated in this human trafficking scheme. And the number three criminal in this process, still not the Venezuelan on TPS that had to go to New York, is Joe Biden. It is Joe Brandon and Eric Adams and anyone and everyone that did not look at this and go, we are going to criminally prosecute you for doing this. Can you think if a governor, let's entertain for a brief moment, Donald Trump is president. We are nearing the end of the third month of the Burger Reich. Every single day is yet another cataclysmic, world-changing event. Now close your eyes and imagine for a brief moment if a governor said that they were going to do the reverse of what Greg Abbott has done, which is to basically go and in the process of I don't know, like ICE directing migrants out of the country, they overtake the buses and then bring them to the state of California. Okay? And then they offer them protection. What would Donald Trump do? What would Donald Trump do in that situation? He would kill Greg. Not Greg. Sorry. In this situation, it would be Gavin Newsom, right? In this hypothetical scenario, he would literally do the death penalty. He would do capital punishment. He would do drone strikes. What did Biden do? What did Joe Biden do when Governor Greg Abbott engaged in this human trafficking scheme specifically for political moves, specifically so that he could get a political leg up? He did NATO. He didn't move funds into the federal court processes to ensure that the immigration judges would, in an expedient manner, process these people and allow them to get temporary work visas so they could go out and seek gainful employment, pay taxes, do all that shit, and to show the rest of the country that, of course, we have space for all of these migrants. What the f*** for the United States of America? He didn't do that, though. He did not do that. We have so many tools at our disposal. The American government is so powerful. And yet, Democrats refuse to exercise that power. And when Republicans exercise that power, they do it for evil. It's so annoying. They could have flipped the script on this migrant right then and there to be like, to do what the gracious people over at Martha's Vineyard did. Because this initially started with Martha's Vineyard when they shipped a bunch of migrants to Martha's Vineyard. What did the locals do? They immediately tried to find housing for all of the people that were sent there. They could have done that. You know who was saying that? If only there was a political commentator who was saying exactly this. If you were to come in here and hear me say this now and go, well, Hasan, hindsight is 2020. Well, it was foresight back then because I was saying it back then too. I was saying just this. I was saying Biden has a unique opportunity here to prove by example that America can, as a matter of fact, take care of these migrants. And they didn't do that. It wasn't even foresight. It was just sight, as I always say. Not foresight, just sight. It's easy why you are dealing with 50 migrants versus tens of thousands that flock to your state. Hey, dumbass, I live in California. What the are you talking about? Did you notice how Greg Abbott didn't ship migrants to California for some weird reason and instead did it to New York without telling them ahead of time and Chicago without telling them ahead of time? The do you mean? I live in the living, breathing example of dealing with migrants that are flocking in by tens of thousands. What are you talking about? Do you honestly think California is doing a good job? With respect to migrants, yes. It's like the one thing that it's doing a good job with. That and protecting reproductive health for women. Yes, because California is run by an asshole for other reasons. Okay, I'm not going to glaze Gavin too hard. Non-Californians want us Californians to think that we live in an overrun. I know. They're so annoying and so goddamn stupid. It's like, bro, you live in Iowa. Shut the up, okay? You're over there fantasizing about like a flood of Latino migrants coming in to your daughter or some okay? And being like, yeah, California is so up. Shut up. You couldn't exist without California, okay? Remember that, you goddamn donkey. I hate this Eat a taco for once. Bro, people like to tell me that crime is legal in California and that LA cops are liberals. Yeah. They live in La La Land. That's why so many studies were conducted on this issue where they were like, well, you know, crime is not in my neighborhood, but it's somewhere. It's on the rise. It feels like there's a general vibe shift about crime being on the rise. It's not here. My neighborhood's fine, but it's at another neighborhood. It's terrifying. It's scary. Like, what are you talking about? There are chatters. Sometimes there will literally be chatters talking about straight up my backyard, okay? They'll be like, dude, aren't you terrified? There's so much crime happening in your neighborhood. Without realizing that they're talking about my neighborhood, I'd be like, what are you saying? What the are you saying? I spent a year in Cali and now I live in West Virginia. People act like I came back from Afghanistan. That's the hilarious part about this is because like West Virginia closely resembles the material realities of Afghanistan, ironically enough. And I say this as someone who's been to West Virginia. Like West Virginia versus California. What's closer to Afghanistan? A country that we destroyed, by the way, for the record. Yeah, living in Fallout New Vegas conditions, talking about California being a it's like, bro, what are you saying right now? You need to have foreign NGOs drop ship medical aid into your state because of the dire need. Like, you got dudes working in Zimbabwe coming to goddamn West Virginia and being like, dude, the dental work necessary here is worse than the African countries that we have exploited that I went to go and work on. And these are like, you know what? California, that's the problem. That's the real problem. And this isn't to say that there aren't major issues in California, okay? There are. And it is directly a consequence of the right-wing attitude that liberal administrators have. Gavin Newsom being directly in the pocket of real estate developers.
You would just keep
like it's
doing
working.
like it's going in that direction.
Yeah.
So the problem with things that are going in a radical direction, and then there's an overcorrection. So the overcorrection is lack of due process. The overcorrection is like round them all up, ship them to jail. Like that's like some things that you say when you're not thinking things through. Like, what do you do about all the criminals? Take them all, send them to El Salvador.
Yeah.
What about due process? No, that. But here's the problem with that. What if you are an enemy of, let's not say any current president. Let's pretend we got a new president, totally new guy in 2028. And this is a common practice now of just rounding up gang members with no due process and shipping them to El Salvador. You're a gang member. No, I'm not. Prove it. What? I got to go to court. No, no due process.
That's
right?
dangerous, Joe.
That's dangerous. That's dangerous. That's dangerous. We got to be careful that we don't become monsters while we're fighting monsters. But then again, you got to find these monsters that are here that have terrorist cells and that are ready to blow up malls in Dallas and do crazy shit, which definitely they've thwarted before.
Yeah.
So like this is the best argument for intelligence agencies is that there's real threats. You know, like for someone to say, the CIA, the FBI, what, are you crazy? Who's going to investigate real threats? Like the real world exists. As much as you want to pretend that that we can all go kumbaya tomorrow if we all just lay down our arms. No, there's people that are 48 years old and dedicated to crime. They've been dedicated to crime in Guatemala, and now they're here. You know,
yeah,
and now
dude.
they're selling fentanyl, and they're not going to stop. Okay,
They don't give a
yeah, and they're on EBT cards where you're getting money from the government for free every month because you're in a sanctuary city and you get free food and you're a criminal. And then one of them, like two of them, assaulted cops in New York City and then got out, got free. No cash bail. No cash bail. You just get out. They assaulted cops, and then they're on the street giving the Tupac to the camera. You ever see that?
No, Joe,
Bro, it's
what?
crazy. First of all, we got to show you the Kamala Harris lady. You got the Kamala Harris lady? You can't find it? They probably scrubbed it from the internet. She's being shamed.
I'm not really sure what to look for, but
You're putting a tinfoil hat on my head right now. Like, that's how I'm
have to put
feeling.
it on. We don't have to show it. It's because we've already showed it a bunch of times. It's how you would do it if you wanted to destroy America. I'm not saying. So the question becomes like, how much of it is our own folly? How much of it is just natural human behavior? How much of it is like the right wants law and order, so we don't want law and order. The right wants to punish prisoners. We want to. No, it's racist. Racism. You know, it's like, what is it?
But that's just teams fighting. That's
Tight,
so
yeah. But also, I feel like it's manipulated as well, and maybe more so than anything else. I feel
Every single dumb that's come into my chat over the past couple of weeks where I tried to explain to them why you must have due process, hopefully will understand it now that Joe Rogan has explained it with virtually the same exact example.
like it's manipulated. And again, if you wanted to turn us into China, and what I mean by that is a country that's facial recognition everywhere, social credit score system that's attached.
We have that, Joe. We have that. And we're also doing the thing that you're complaining about right now. As a matter of fact, the guy who's doing it is a guy that you hugged 2 days ago. You hugged the guy doing it 2 days ago. We have credit scores. We have mass surveillance. You used to know these things. We used to glaze Alex Jones for being prophetic, being a prophetic voice that recognized the surveillance state before anyone else did. That was the reason why you liked Alex Jones. Wait, this is a 6-month-old clip? It's from today. Why do you think Joe Rogan would be against due process 6 months ago?
To all of your banking, your ability to travel, everything you do. If you make anything online that's against the government, you could be disappeared, you could be locked up, you could be made a political prisoner. You know, this is fun.
It felt like we were heading that way.
This is good. I'm glad that he's recognizing this, because this is what conservatives would constantly complain about. This is their suspicion as to what the Democrats were up to. You know, they'd always turn around and be like, this is what the Democrats want to do. The demon rats. They want to put us in FEMA camps. They want to put us in FEMA facilities. Ladies and gentlemen, if we don't put an end to this right now, it's going to a scary path. And it's like, well, dude, Trump is actually doing it and saying he's doing it, and also constantly saying, what the f are you going to do about it? And it took him this long to recognize the impact.
Yeah, I think this is something that, I think it was Metzger that said this. No, it was Duncan that said this about Ukraine and Russia. He was like, do you realize, like, the Ukrainians that we're killing, or that rather the Russians that we're killing by sending over arms and money to fund the Ukrainians? Not saying that we shouldn't do this, but he's saying that a lot of those guys are being forced to go to the front line. And a lot of those guys are prisoners who get released in order to fight. So what if you're a prisoner because you wrote a bad tweet against Putin, and they lock you up, and then all of a sudden Ukrainians are killing you with American weapons because you tweeted bad against Putin? So it's Putin's way of like eliminating any dissent from, like, and they don't.
It's weird. He's getting there. There's a semblance of humanity here. Weird that it's still. He's not wrong. It's just arriving at the correct point while taking the weirdest route possible. I don't know.
Don't even arrest that many people online.
Megaphonics said, I can't believe it, but Joe Rogan is showing more introspection than my dad. Don't worry, because if Joe Rogan is showing this introspection, your dad will inevitably also show it. Because even if your dad is not listening to Joe Rogan, he's listening to someone else that listens to Joe Rogan. He's listening to a podcast. Okay? I assume somewhere along the line, there is at least one kind of right-wing podcast or right-wing media person that your dad is listening to that he really trusts. And that person is probably going to say similar things. Whatever you say, you do not know our dads. Okay, we'll see. If your dad only listens to Fox News, he's not going to change. There's no introspection coming for your dad. But many people do listen to Joe Rogan. So him having this wake up moment is good. It's not a bad thing. My dad is gone. His guy is Mark Levin. Oh my God. Okay, never mind. Yeah, no, your dads are dude. Your dad's brains are mush. I'm sorry. I feel bad for you, but yes, there is no salvaging any of that. Your dads are all if they are exclusively getting their notes from Fox News, then they're cooked.
In comparison to, or for doing things online in comparison to the UK. The UK is getting in on it full steam ahead. The UK is arresting people for anything that makes people uncomfortable online. They show up at your house and just arrest you. They've arrested, like, how many people have been arrested in the UK for social media posts in the last year?
Please, you have to tie this back to America, right? Please, you're an American. Also, I think it's like 1 or something. And that's not because they social media posts, but because they had like a minor fine and they wanted to make a political statement about not paying said fine, for the record. Like that's how this usually goes. It's not like, oh, you're black bagged and you're black bagged and it's over. It's like you played a role in the race riots that took place in the UK. And then they wanted to fine you for it or something, or they wanted to jail you for a short period of time, specifically because you actively were, getting people to go out and try to stab random Muslims or burn mosques and like straightforwardly a hate crime that you agitated for. Whereas in America, you say, hey, I don't think our tax dollars should go to the baby murder machine that is Israel, and you get black back in the middle of the night. Or a bunch of plainclothes officers, and we don't even know if they're ICE agents, as a matter of fact, because one of the stories I'm going to cover today is that there was this one guy who isn't a ICE agent at all. He's just a right-wing militia guy that has been deputized by ICE to go and nab people, which is crazy. But in any case, you got people in plain clothes like kidnapping people in broad daylight for what? Writing an article in the student newspaper. Writing an article in the student newspaper that doesn't like offer unconditional support to Hamas or whatever. Doesn't even go half the distance that I go to when talking about these issues. Just simply says like, I think it's up that Israel's doing a genocide. That's all. That's all it takes for this administration to be like, nope, done, kidnapped.
It's gonna blow your mind. It's gonna blow your mind. This is just posts on social media, like we need to send these illegal immigrants back, saying shit like that.
Yeah,
you get arrested.
That's not
hate
true.
crimes.
Even if I'm joking, even if I'm just having.
There's no jokes.
Wow.
No jokes.
Oh my God, here we are back to pure fantasy. Oh my Lord.
Jokes online anymore. Not in the UK. Not only that, but the guy who's the head of the UK. They're saying now that they could potentially arrest Americans who have posted things online when they visit the UK. Yeah, I was reading a post about this. Like this law could potentially be used in this way. That if you are a person in America and you're posting horrible shit about the UK government or the immigrant problem or whatever they have, context behind available information, exact figures 2025, not fully comprehended. 2023. In 2023, 12,183 arrests were made across 37 police forces in the UK under Section 127 of the Communications Act, 2003, and Section 1 of the Malicious Communications Act in 1988, equating to about 33 arrests per day. Laws cover sending grossly offensive, indecent, obscene, or menacing messages via electronic communication networks, which includes social media posts and also DMs. DMs. So people have been arrested for horrible DMs that nobody gets to see other than the friend that you're sending it to, supposedly.
You have no idea what the context is. That's
Checking
crazy.
into this one time.
We're so busted. We're so cooked. Is this grok? Is this a grok summarization? Bro, how did we devolve to such an insane degree that we can't even do a Google search? Like, there are people out there, I don't understand it, dude. We're so cooked. The next generation is not literate. I'm going to tell you right now, no critical thinking skills whatsoever. They have just basically become servants to a machine that actively lies to you. We call it hallucinations. And we've become so lazy that we can't even use Google. And not the AI. No, don't say Google is also AI. There's Google AI too, but you can still use the search engine function and apply critical thinking to the resources that are immediately available to you. Oh my God. We're done. We're so done. Oh my God, we're so done. We are so goddamn done. It's over. Like, dude, it's basic. Just look it up yourself. You need AI. You're so lazy. You need AI to summarize search results. I'm teaching college kids that don't know how to use Excel or PowerPoint. Man, is so done. My boss says ChatGPT that real quick, as if it's a flex. Do you work for Ethan Klein? 75% of Americans read it below a 6th grade level.
Recently, it said that a lot of people may have been arrested, but many of them were not prosecuted and were released.
But it's still
after.
Right. Okay, that's cute. It's still horrifying because what you're doing is scaring people into compliance. They don't want to be arrested again, and they certainly don't want to risk being prosecuted. But they're forcing people to censor themselves.
This is correct. This is government enforcement against speech in countries within the European Union and in Canada, and as a matter of fact, most other countries. Free speech still exists. It's just the boundaries are not as expansive as the United States of America. Okay? That's it. These countries have hate speech laws. We have some laws around it. We have some laws where hate speech can be, especially in the process of a crime, can elevate the crime itself to a hate crime. Except this current administration is literally going against that right now, and not even doing it in a way where it's like, yeah, maybe we should like cut this Nazi stuff out. Maybe we should make this Nazi shit illegal. They're doing it by saying, if you criticize the foreign nation state of Israel, then you are going to have your citizenship revoked. You are going to have your legal permanent residency revoked. If there are boundaries, can it still really be considered free? I don't know, dog. Do you think that child pornography should exist and freely be distributed? Answer my question very carefully. Do you? No, but that's not speech. Free expression. What are you talking about? The fuck? It's a artistic expression, technically. The reason why you're looking for a way out of this argument without admitting what we both know is because speech and expression are two different things. Oh my God. Dude, you can just say, no, that's a reasonable boundary. I was wrong, actually. Okay? We both know that is the answer to this question. It wasn't a serious question unless you want to come out as a pedophile in this chat right now. Canadians, y'all ain't slick. I'm not watching the Canadian debate, okay? It's not happening.
The
I
jump.
read it said that they were breaking the law. I don't know.
Bro thinks freedom of speech just means words. Yeah. Unless you type it, in which case it's a different kind of speech. Or unless you do an artistic expression, which is also a different kind of speech. But for the sake of this argument, he doesn't want to see it as speech. Speech is an expression. How do you express your thoughts? Freedom of speech is freedom of expression. That was a wonderful little example of how hard people will go to not admit that they might have been wrong, okay? Just so you understand. Like, that person knows the answer to that question, but he doesn't want to admit it, so he's going to try to dance around it.
Which law?
Right.
Yeah, go tell the judge that you were just speaking. Okay, it's different. Your Honor, the CSAM collection that you found is actually speech only. Can I take a swing at that one to get your thoughts? What do you mean? Yeah, that's also funny because that's literally what libertarians do. Yeah, I wasn't driving, I was traveling. Wait, what? Oh, this guy. Oh my God. No, this guy's volunteering to defend CSAM. No, don't take a swing at that. Don't do it.
Well, no, they do have
Oh
a
my
law.
God, no.
They don't have freedom of speech the way we have in America.